What's up, Tiger Nation? Steve Leslie, YSNLive.com. Tuesday night at the Tigers table. Every Tuesday here at the Tigers table with the Springfield Tigers. Enjoy every week. Come on down. Cannot thank Melissa and the crew, Tiffany and Debbie, for all they do for all of us at YSN and all they do for the Springfield Tigers. Now joined by the head coach, Sean Guerriero. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me again.
Week 5, 56-0, big win. The defense continues to improve. Was there improvement again off of, I thought, a pretty good defensive performance against Geneva? Talk about that to start.
Well, I think our defense is continually gotten better from week to week to week. We try to challenge them, throughout the practice to make sure, again, we're gap sound and we're running to the football. There's different things that Coach Slopek does with our defense just to make our kids try to react and try to create turnovers. So there's a lot of positive things going on with those kids, and we're able to, you're starting to see it on the field with some of those results.
No doubt.
And making sure that we're continually getting
and a
better.
Shutout's always nice. When you're playing young kids to get a shutout, it doesn't matter who you're playing. A shutout is a big thing.
Well, we talk about goals like that and making sure we try. Obviously, we want to shut out every week, but for our kids to be able to come out and play 4 solid quarters, containing the football, and it's hard. When you end up getting teams that spreading the ball pretty well, and Waterloo has done some stuff that we haven't seen over the past couple weeks. So it was good that our kids responded to that, and just making sure we try to reach those goals for our defense.
Yeah, win number 2, 56-0 over Waterloo. I go back and look at some things. I go back and look at a Brookfield since we have beaten them. They're playing good football right now.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And you talked about that that was a very good game for you guys against a talented team that had some skill on offense, and it looks like Coach has hit some things. Obviously, the Geneva game, your schedule, a South Range. Do you see that getting some momentum for this football team, the early schedule?
Well, I just think early when you do it, you try to you're trying to figure out who you are, what your identity is, offensively and defensively. And we made some moves offensively and defensively too with some personnel. So our kids are trying to, get a little bit comfortable with what we're doing, and we're making adjustments to try to. So I think our kids have reacted well over the past couple of weeks, just to make sure that we are getting better and we know our assignment. So that's, it takes time to make sure, and it's with our coaching staff too, making sure we have the right kids in the right spot to be able to be productive.
Yeah, shout out to that and all those guys. They'll head over to Mathews Friday night. We'll have it for you on YSNLive.com. You go to the offense. Colton had a good game, 5 for 6, and I think you said 4 running back score. Offensive line continues, obviously, to be a pretty good strength for this football team.
Well, yeah, I would think for sure for us, our running game was great, and we did have a lot of people touch the ball, which is good, because in the future, to have those kids touch the ball and in meaningful snaps is a positive thing for our offense. And you never know when somebody goes down or somebody gets injured, when you're going to need somebody to step up, or when their number's called. So for us, it's positive. It's about building depth right now and something like that. So I feel like our kids are positive and they stay motivated. And obviously, we got a chance to touch the football. I think it motivates.
Yeah, Gentile had a big game running the ball. He went 4 carries over 100. I think you said Colton was 5 of 6. So those guys continue to get better. Is it hard as a coach in games like that? Because you obviously don't want to put it on people, but you obviously have to. You guys do such a very good job of having game plans each week and wanting to work on things that you want to do. Does that get tough sometimes?
It does. In something like that, it's kind of hard, but you want to make sure that the kids are, I guess our goal as a coaching staff is to try to make our kids play 3 quarters at least, before you start. And
right.
The continuous clock for how fast that goes.
Isn't that amazing? Like, if somebody throws a pass and it's a continuing clock and the ball bounces away, that's a minute.
It does end up.
What are your thoughts on that? The continuous clock? Like it? Don't like it?
Well, when I first got hired here, I had to get my behind beat every minute of the game, and now you end up doing it. I do think it's a positive thing for high school football for when a game does get out of hand. Maybe it's not. I don't think anybody's goal is try to embarrass anybody or do anything. But for us, we need to make sure, and that's for us right now, is we got to make sure we're trying to create some depth. Get some kids in there for meaningful snaps, for us to end up getting those kids that just get varsity time and be able to see the speed of the game that changes. Something we don't see at practice all the time, but I think it's a positive to end up speeding that up a little bit, because sometimes it gets ugly quick, and it really wasn't the way we played. The special teams played it great. We score on the first play of offense. We kick off. We go 3 and out. We score again. They come out, we block a punt, we score. Like
it's 21
it was,
before you can blink. And you
21
still have a package
before.
that you want to work on.
Oh, there's definitely things we got to work on. There's definitely goals, for ourselves that we need to make sure that stuff we're adjusting to or making adjustments for practice that we end up, getting better and that we run the stuff that we want to run. So we have goals, but again, you try to get some kids some early snaps and maybe that they normally wouldn't end up seeing. But I think that's a positive thing for us to be able to get those kids some time.
No doubt. With Coach Guerriero, I love that. That's exciting for you guys as a staff to see a young kid go out and do some things on a Friday night.
Yeah, we had some
it's a big thing for those younger kids. That's a big thing for them to get in varsity football games.
Well, the thing I like about our offense or our defense, the offensive efficiency was awesome, no matter who we had in the game, and that's realistically the goal. So, if we take a kid out or two kids out on the line, and we put somebody in there, we don't miss a beat, and that's what's productive overall. Seeing is getting those kids in with 2 or 3 starters where they might not normally play, or they played in the JV game or whatever it may be. But our goal right now is to make sure that we continue to get better. You know what I mean? Because when you get in game like that, or you get into some games like that, where we got to make sure and we remember our ultimate goal is to make sure we can make a run at this during the playoffs.
Yeah, I want to ask you. This is the start of the year, and I love talking to you because you're good. Bumps and bruises and nicks start to get a little more each week. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah, we definitely – and we've been through. Between Dante has a broken hand. Casey Kosick has a broken pinky. We've been playing through some of that stuff. And the kids, and I would say over the past couple of years that we went through the runs, our kids got to make sure that they are taking care of their
There's
body. Never
never a week where you could say, hey, yeah, we're good to go.
There's not. It's not. But that's where it's good sometimes when you do have those games where you get a kid in there.
Smaller schools need games to get depth.
Well, you get depth, but you get a lot of kids where a kid might be getting 10 reps. They might get 30 reps in a game. You know what I mean? Then you stay fresh when you're subbing, and the kids, I think, play harder. Then I think with that, too, you get your starters that when they are in there, they want to play hard because they don't know how many reps they're going to get.
They may not be coming back out here.
It's been a good thing for us, but when you end up building on top of that, just as a team in a goal of, okay, defensively, we want to keep that shutout no matter who's in the game. So I don't care if you're a 3-year starter for us or if you're a kid who hasn't played any, what I mean, you play. So we want to make sure that we continue to keep those goals. And then we do helmet stickers and things of that nature. But if they score, they lose a helmet. Our older kids
knows that.
I like that too. Yeah, everybody knows that. But then our older kids are like, "Hey, we got to," and then they cheer on the younger kids, and it's
doing
a good
some coaching. Well, that's great. Congrats on win number 2, no doubt, with Coach Guerriero. Coach's Corner every Tuesday night. They'll head over to Mathews. We'll have the game for you on ysnlive.com Friday night, early in the week. Talk about practice and some of the things going into this game against Mathews you want to get better at this week.
Well, for us, I still end up thinking, we talked about it today with the weather of today in practice, it rained the whole day. But, okay, where's our focus? We need to make sure that we take care of the football. Yesterday we did, ball security circuit. So we kind of go times back to some of the basics when you end up, trying to improve. But today was a great day for us to get better in the rain, having a wet ball all practice, making sure that you're looking it in, making the catch, holding on the ball, make sure the exchange, is something where you get under center and you get to that wet ball and it gets a little bit rough. So I think our kids did a great job overall. Started out a little bit slow for practice, but we had great intensity through the second half of it. Tried to pick up the tempo a little bit with that. So we might try to work a little tempo things this week just to try to work on something if we need it later. In the season, always try to build off of what's going well. With our run game, can we add another run play or 2 run plays in to maybe bring in a new wrinkle? When we need, you might need it next week or the week after, the week 10, whatever it may be. So right now we try to expand on some things on that, making sure that our offense is keep going. And I think too, it keeps the kids engaged overall.
Is the offense getting to where you thought it would be?
I really liked how we got a lot of people touching the football. I think we had 3 kids that have catches out of those 6.
Yeah, I want to go
5 completions. We had 3 kids.
Even
that
the Brookfield game, I want to say, I could probably remember 5 guys touching the ball in the past game.
So that's always good. Yeah, there was. I think we had that game maybe 8 or 9 people have carries or touches. So that's great when you could spread the ball out like that and making sure they're not looking for one receiver. So we've got to continue to build off that, making sure we can spread the ball out and just making the reads, because I don't care what – you never know what they're going to give us or what adjustments that they made. First couple weeks they were kind of in a 3-4 and they were blitzing the front. Right. Last year they were kind of in a 4-man front, or last week, I'm sorry, Mathews was in a 4-man front. So to be able to go into a game and not really know what their base is or what they're going to try to do to us, keeps us on our toes a little bit offensively. And defensively, it's about being disciplined and keeping your eyes, on your keys and making sure we're doing what we have to do to be productive.
One of the things I enjoy talking with you with, you always, and a lot of these kids give you an awful lot of credit. This is a tight group, and they all go back to you as the guy that kind of steers the bus to where it needs to get to. Scout teams are important. I don't think a lot of people understand in a week's practice how important the scout team is and the organization of a scout team. You guys have done a really good job. When we talked, this group of seniors was there through all these runs. Scout team kids are vital to good football programs. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, I agree with you, and that's something that's going to prepare.
And nobody wants to do those. I get it.
Well, it's not, but I think how you promote it and what you end up doing. I don't think it's not a punishment for our kids to be on scout team. And we have kids that are starters on our offense that are, on our scout or on our scout team. And we have the same thing. If we have a couple kids. I'll say this: we had a kid, and we give out a scout team player of the week every week. That's something that to me, I don't want to say you have to glorify it, but that's when you got to put in the work Monday through Thursday for us to be productive on Friday. And those kids, I'll say two of the kids, and you talked to both of them. Last week, Josh Velasco was a scout team player of the week. Had a really good week of practice, and guess what? He played great on Friday. The week before, Connor Sugar, who's our starting tackle, been a scout team. He got scout team player of the week. So hopefully when we talk about putting in the work and doing those things, that's what's productive for us. And I don't think our kids think it's a punishment, but it's about getting better and what your ultimate goal is. You kind of talked about that a little bit after practice, like where do we want to be? By coming out and going through the motions, that doesn't cut it.
No.
So we need to make sure that our seniors are pushing, our upperclassmen are pushing the younger kids to make sure we're coming off the ball and doing that stuff, because this is, people don't understand, I think, the work that you put in with our kids. Our kids go there and they bust their butt every day. And on Friday, that's kind of the reward is to be able to put on the Tigers jersey and be a part of what we want to promote and what we want to do.
Well, you guys do a great job with it. I just wanted to say that and shout out to all those guys that play on the scout team, because there wouldn't be sports. There wouldn't be football if there wasn't scout teams for all the YSN schools that we cover, because those are the guys that get the guys ready to go. And it's nice to see those guys. You never want to see blowouts like we do, but it's nice that those guys get the reward too. So shout out to them. With Coach Guerriero, Friday night we'll have it for you against Mathews as they travel there. What do you want to see this team get after and accomplish going into this Mathews game?
Well, I still think, one of the things I think that you have to take advantage of in high school football is special teams. I think we took a huge step. I thought we had a good week one with like our kickoff team. And then I don't know if we took a step back or we just weren't being productive. We gave even Geneva the ball a little bit more. Obviously, our goal is to try to keep it inside the 20. Would be good, but I think our kickoff team was very productive last week. Our field goal team, we were 8 for 8 on PATs, and that's the stuff you can't take for granted. Whether it's a bad snap or a bad hold,
it's funny
that you say
that, because I always, in calling high school games and calling YSU games, people don't understand how hard that is to get a snap on a time that you need it and get the ball down and kick it. You guys do spend a lot of time special teams.
We spend at least 15 minutes a day on that stuff. And when you work on it, same thing like our kickoff. If you can make a high school team travel 80 yards, that's a long way, especially with, knock on wood, when we talk about our defense and not giving up the big play. It's one of our goals is not to have a play over 25 yards for our defense. So when you make a high school team shot, it's hard to end up doing that, where you got to be consistent, and it's about doing those little things right. So I thought our kickoff team had a great one. I think our kickoff return has been great. Our returns, even 2 weeks ago against Geneva, we had a couple big returns. We had a big return where we're starting the ball on the 35, 40-yard line. It's huge. You can open up the playbook a little bit. You can be a little bit more aggressive, because then when you play that field position game, it's not as bad. Our punt's been solid, right now overall, so we got to continue to work that. Our punt block, we blocked the punt.
Blocked the punt Friday night.
Block a punt. We
those win football games as you get later on in the year and the weather gets a little bad.
Oh, my goodness. And you end up doing it. So, and that's something, we talk about our punt block is you might line up 9 guys up top, but you don't know who's going to block it. So everybody got to go hard. Everybody got to make sure you're on the same page. We're blocking for going for a block point. So I was very happy the way our special teams, has progressed. Mike Popio runs our special teams. He does a great job with those guys. Very organized. We talk about that. So I just think overall, special teams is an advantage. Well, if we can win that,
it's a big advantage
aspect of the game. Now, you usually say if you win 2 out of 3, you're good. So if we can win offense or defense is playing well a game, you can really put yourself in a good situation to end up winning that.
Well, there you have it from Coach Guerriero. Best of luck Friday night as you travel on over to Mathews. We'll have it for you on ysnlive.com week 5. Coach, best of luck, and we'll talk next week.
Thank you very much.
Right,
appreciate
brother.
you having us again.